from the great state of New York, Representative Langworthy.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the gentleman from Pennsylvania, my colleague on the Rules Committee, for yielding me the time. Now, contrary to what my colleagues on the other side of the aisle claim, this legislation before us today is about building a cleaner, more secure, more affordable energy future where the United States is not dependent on foreign countries for its energy needs. Now, let me be perfectly clear. The greatest beneficiary to the Biden administration's regulatory onslaught on our nation's energy sector is China, the communist country of China. And the ones who will pay the biggest cost for President Biden and the left's asinine energy policies are the American people. The climate agenda that the left is pushing onto this country through the Biden administration and through Democrats in my own state of New York will leave the American people poorer, less secure, and with fewer opportunities. Full stop. Because who benefits the most from this administration's new rules on mineral leasing that make it more difficult for the United States to produce its energy and resource needs domestically? China, our biggest adversary in a country who cares little for the environmental health of our world. So when my Democratic colleagues claim that this legislation before us today will somehow loosen protections on our environment and keep our country away from reaching some arbitrary goal set by this administration, don't be fooled. If this administration or the radical left actually cared about our global environment, they wouldn't be putting up roadblocks to safer, cleaner domestic energy production, as they are doing with the Bureau of Land Management's newest rules on mineral leasing. They wouldn't be banning safe, job-creating hydraulic fracturing to produce cleaner, reliable natural gas, as New York State Democrats have done, robbing communities across my district of incredible economic opportunities. They wouldn't be pushing Americans towards a battery-powered future while making it nearly impossible for our country to produce these very batteries, down to refining the rare earth minerals here domestically. Democrats in Washington, in Albany, and elsewhere, despite their talk of a cleaner future, are leaving us more dependent on foreign countries, including our biggest adversary, China, that have no qualms about pumping buckets of pollution into the air. Mr. Speaker, energy future supported by my colleagues across the aisle is hypocritical, impossibly expensive for everyday Americans, and leaves this country at the mercy of foreign imports to satisfy our energy needs. I strongly support this underlying legislation before us today because it will turn the ship around and ensure that our energy future is about economic opportunities, domestic security, and affordability for everyday Americans, rather than satisfying the radical demands of a woke mob. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
Reserve the time for